Welcome back to another episode of Grit on the Rocks podcast, where we have unfiltered conversations about the issues that surround, yes, us men. Sometimes while we have a smoke, sometimes a drink, sometimes a sip of coffee, sometimes water, sometimes nothing. Sometimes it's a conversation one would have when you're surrounded by the boys, right? Either at a bar or a cigar lounge. This is Grit on the Rocks podcast, a Buenos Dias Media production.
This podcast is a Buenos Dias Media production.
This is the Grit on the Rocks podcast, where raw conversations meet smooth sips. Pull up a chair, pour your favorite drink, puff on your favorite cigar, and join us as we dive into the convos that matter. No scripts, no barriers, just unfiltered truth served straight up. Cheers to the real ones out there. Salud.
All right. So today we're doing this a little bit differently than we usually do it, right? So I found this written piece, and to be honest, I haven't even really read it. I just read the beginning, and I just wanted my reactions and my opinions to be genuine. So I stopped, saved that. I thought, I think it'd be cool to just, read it on the podcast and just react to it. It was rendered by someone named Donna Mejia. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I really don't know. Somebody shared it, and I just grabbed it, and I was like, maybe we can talk about this. So it seems like it's talking to women on how to correct their husband without hurting his ego. So we're going to read through it.
Sounds interesting.
Give our opinion. So women who listen to our show, take notes. And men, share it with your wife. I don't know if there's any value in this. It's probably just all BS. I don't know. We're going to read through it. But I still suggest share it with your wife. Let them listen to it. Let them get on the Grit on the Rocks podcast.
Let them just enjoy the show.
Yeah. So, This is Grit on the Rocks, a Buenos Dias Media production.
The views and opinions expressed by the host, guest, and or participants of this show do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Buenos Dias Media LLC, its associates, partners, and show sponsors. The content is intended for entertainment purposes and should not be construed as professional advice. Listener discretion is advised.
So like I said, you're listening to Grit on the Rocks podcast. And, we're going through this. I found it on Facebook. I thought it'd be interesting to share. And it's titled 14 Ways to Correct Your Husband Without Hurting His Ego. Again, I don't know what's in this. This episode could probably end up being deleted. I don't know. Maybe something crazy. But we're going to give our opinions based on what we read. All right. So it's numbered from 1 through 14. Number 1. I don't want anybody to get offended by this. I didn't write this.
Yeah, we don't know how valid this is.
It says rendered by Donna Mejia. That's what it said at the end of it. So I'm giving credit to whoever wrote it. If that's who wrote it, then number 1, women, 14 ways to correct your husband without hurting his ego. Number 1, lower your voice. I didn't write this. I just want to make that clear.
Wait, let's stop here for a second. So, if they don't want us to have our ego, offended, and yet they're loud, we still gotta have our voices lowered.
No. This is talking to women.
Okay.
This is telling the woman to lower her voice.
Yeah, let me thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah, no, this is geared towards women. That's why it's 14 ways to correct your husband without hurting his ego. So number 1, lower your voice.
Well, yeah.
Don't shout at him. He's not your child. Although sometimes he acts like a child, but yes, you can correct him with a minimum volume tone.
I believe so. Because it's not because it's gonna make us, hurt our egos. It's simply the correct way that should be done.
Yes, I agree. There's ways of talking to people, and when you're talking to your husband, just like men to women, when you're talking to your wife, you're talking to an adult. You're not talking to a child. Not that you should talk crazy to your children either, but there's ways of correcting. There's a time and a place.
Right.
Don't do that shit in front of people. That doesn't say it here, but don't do that shit in front of people. You making yourself look foolish. And I gotta say, some women and men have the tendency to do that. It's like they want to like flex in front of company, and they want to shit on their spouse. And I gotta tell you, man or woman, you look like an asshole doing that.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks you're cool.
Especially when they are around their close friends.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and some women like to do that. And again, I know men do it too, but I'm saying some women like to do that, like to flex, like, yeah, I'm the boss in the house. And the truth is, your friends are looking at you like you're crazy because you look foolish doing that. And men, the same thing. When you try to do it in front of your buddies, you might have one or two cheerleaders in the crowd who are like, oh, yeah, you told her. But the truth is, the real men, the manly men, responsible, mature men that are in that group are looking at you like, yo, you're a douche. Mm-hmm. All right. Number 2, do it in love. Correction should be done in love. Remember, your husband is human too. He makes mistakes, and so are you. What? Make mistakes, and so are you.
That sounds like a Dr. Seuss thing.
Wait, remember, your husband is human too. Okay, so I guess they're continuing, but it's like they put, remember, your husband is human too, period. He makes mistakes, and so are you. So she's a mistake? Punctuation, man. Very important. All right. Number 3. Never ever criticize your husband in public or in front of your friends. Stop criticizing him, especially in front of your friends or family. That is very degrading to men. Rather, correct in love. Just whisper gently with a hug. All right.
Yeah, I could just imagine when she gets close to it. Motherfucker, when I get you,
I'll fucking kill you, Most will say it's constructive criticism, but girl, men have egos too. Their self-esteem are easy to break down. Correction is the act of offering better options. Correction and criticism are never the same. So, I gotta agree with, yes, you shouldn't be criticizing your spouse in front of anybody. Again, that to me, that makes you look foolish. When it's not cool. No matter how bad, I guess it might be or whatever it is, and you want to correct and you see it, that's a conversation between you and your spouse, not you and your friends about your spouse. I think that's insane.
Do inside a car, all locked up or in your room.
Now, the whole thing that correct in love, just whisper with a gently hug. All right, just stop. Let's be real here.
Yeah, I could just imagine, like I said, somebody whispering something in your ear that's not, hey, baby, I'm going to get you back for that.
Yep. All right. Let's cut saying, quote unquote, whatever my wife says. Girl, you are not the boss. And so does your husband, huh? Every decision should be talked and planned with the both of you. Mm-hmm. If he said your cooking is a little salty, never walked out of the table. Instead, apologize and offer other options. Give him sugar instead. And improve your cooking by watching cooking videos on YouTube. All right. I got to say this as a man. I'm pretty sure there's men right now like, yeah, fucking yeah. If it tastes like shit, you better go and cook something else. No, I don't agree with this. No. I don't agree with this. I don't. I don't agree with the whatever my wife says either. But I don't agree with the, just if they don't like something, you got to go and bend over backwards for them. I don't think that should be a thing either or way, like for men or for women. If I cook something, if a woman cooks something and it's a little salty, then two options. Either you eat it or you don't. That's it. And I think it's okay to say, it's a little salty for my taste, but that's it. It's okay. It's fine.
Yeah, if the person decides to make you something, it's because they decided to.
Yeah, if she decides to do something, then okay. But even that, I'd be like, no, it's fine. There's no need for that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there's women right now who are listening, like, get the fuck out of here. You think I'm gonna do that shit? So, all right. Number 5, praise him for his accomplishments.
That it's good and it's I don't care for it.
For
it's not something I
accomplishments.
need. Huh?
No, it's not about needing it. I think it's great when you see people, men and women, some men, some women, have a habit of only pointing out what they don't like.
Mm-hmm.
They only point out the negative. And what that does is that eventually what you say stops having any weight or meaning. I like it when my wife praises me for my accomplishments. Keyword, accomplishments, not I vacuumed the rug. Oh, you deserve praise. So that's not an accomplishment. I'm talking about actual accomplishments. I love it when my wife goes like, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, that's
I think you did great. You got this. And, and I've been blessed to say that that's the kind of wife I have. When I do something and I know that, she knows that I stressed it and I powered through it and I accomplished it, she makes sure to let me know, I'm so proud of you. I see what you're doing. I see what you do for us, etc., and so on. But I also do the same thing. If I see she does something, even, something that is overlooked sometimes is how great our spouses are as a mom or as a dad. Mm-hmm. And I like to let my wife know, I see, how you manage everything. I see you're being such a great mom. You're really trying your best. I love that. That's an accomplishment. When we both graduated from college at an older age. I was 40 when I graduated from college. And she let me know, I'm so proud of you. Keep pushing forward, et cetera, et cetera. And I did the same for her. So yes, you should praise each other for your accomplishments. But again, it doesn't mean I make some white rice and I fry an egg and she's going to praise me like, oh, look at what an amazing dinner you did. Oh my God, my husband is the best. No, that's nonsense. So yeah, that's, so what does it say here? It says, if he puts the curtain rod straight or your wall decor is in perfect angle, appreciate that. You know how meticulous they are when it comes to putting wall decor. They really mean business when you request them to do that. With all the use of measuring tapes and torpedo levels and rulers, an extra appreciation will make him love you more. I don't agree with that part.
That's what I was talking about before.
Yeah, you see, but this is one thing is to appreciate it. Mm-hmm. I appreciate what you did. Wow, you put that rod straight. Another thing is to praise. That's not an accomplishment. He did something, yes, and it's okay, and it should be appreciated, and you should let that person know, I appreciate what you do.
A simple thank you will be fine.
That's what, yeah, something like thank you, like, I'm going to give you an example. Like, for the past week, it was crazy here in the house. My daughter was sick. I was working on this documentary that I'm working. And, it got so hectic with work and, my business and all this stuff. And the podcast took a back seat for a moment. And today was a day that, even though my wife had something to do, she decided to not do it because she knew I had to record for the podcast today. So she canceled so that she can be able to, stay with the baby, put her to bed, do all that, so I could work on the podcast. That is something I had to appreciate.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I had to let her know that I appreciate that. Thank you. So again, one thing is to appreciate, another thing is to, praise for accomplishments. So with that said, we are at number 5 already. So far, this hasn't been a great article. But yeah, we're having fun with it. So let's do some whiskey bar wisdom. All right? Whiskey bar wisdom. Here we go. Now it's time for some whiskey bar wisdom. Whiskey bar wisdom. All right. There's nothing magical about it. Here, drink this. Tell me what's on your mind. Come on.
Whiskey bar wisdom. You provide the stories, we provide the opinions, unprofessional advice and a laughter. Great on the Rocks podcast.
All right. This comes from Frank from Connecticut.
I can't surprise that.
It says, "Hey, Grit on the Rocks crew. So I thought I'd drop some wisdom that I learned the hard way. Picture this. I'm out with a buddy who fancies himself a quote-unquote whiskey investor. One of those guys who's convinced whiskey is the new gold. He's going on and on about how buying rare barrels is practically a retirement plan. I'm skeptical, but hey, he's got a point. There are bottles out there worth thousands, so naturally, I decided to try my hand at it. I got a story about this. I find this rare bottle online. Costs way more than I should probably admit. But I think, hey, I'll just sell it later for a profit. The bottle arrives, looks all fancy, like something out of a castle or a Bond villain's collection. But here's the thing. I don't have the patience of a true investor. I got the patience of a guy with one bottle of fancy whiskey just staring at him. A few nights later, I crack it open. Just a taste. And let's just say, one taste became two became a glass, and the glass became, well, you get it. And that investment down to the last drop in under a week. So lesson learned, maybe whiskey isn't the investment route for an impulse guy like me. Next time, I'm sticking to something that's not quite as liquid in my hands. Here's to whiskey investments that don't quite make it to the market. Cheers. That's it. Yeah, I see that. I say I got a story because a few months ago I was looking into, making some investments or whatever. And, I'm looking at it online, looking for stuff. And, since I got into the whole cigar and whiskey, and I found an ad that says something about, investing in whiskey and whiskey companies. So, I filled out the information and just to see, for them to give me information. Of course, they call me. I pick up the phone and, this guy has like a heavy, I want to say something like Australian.
Okay.
And, he starts telling me like, yeah, so are you investing in the market? So I tell him, he asks me how much, what kind of returns I'm seeing in my investments. I tell him. So he goes, oh yeah, those are pretty good numbers. So, would you like to invest? I was like, well, I'm trying to find, I want information. And a long story short, this guy goes, yeah, it's a starting investment of $30,000. So I was like, okay. And what does that mean? Well, this is a long play, which I get it. Investments, that's how it is. You can't invest in something and expect to see a return quickly. This is a long play, years down the line. But, I'm trying to sound like I don't understand the business model yet. I don't invest in anything I don't understand. Keeps going back. Yeah, very insistent. Anyway, we end up hanging out. The guy calls me like 5 minutes later. Same story. I tell him, no, I'm still. Calls me back like 5 minutes after that. Oh, did you think about it? I was like, at the end of the day, I had to tell him like basically to fuck off because it was too much. But yeah.
He really wanted your 30,000.
Jeez. All right. So number 6 of the 14, what is it? 14 ways to correct your husband without hurting his ego. Number 6, don't do it in front of your children. Avoid correcting your husband in the presence of your children. Incessant correction of your husband in front of your children will make them disrespect him. Remember, he is the head of your household. I know there's a bunch of women right now getting angry at that last statement.
Mm-hmm. There's also a bunch of women saying, no, he's not the head, I am.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's a bunch of women right now that I must save my opinion on that. But if you are a Christian woman who reads the Bible and lives by the Bible, that's what the Bible says. The man is the head of the household. I didn't say that. The Bible says it. But yes, I do agree you shouldn't be, and again, this goes either way. You shouldn't be correcting each other in front of your children. It does create a negative image of you, of both of you. It creates a negative image of the person doing the correcting if it's done in a negative manner, and it creates a negative image of the person being corrected. So me personally, I don't recommend it. Okay, number 7, which we basically said this already, but don't correct them in public. Avoid correcting your husband in public. It does not show you as a virtuous woman and will, avoid correcting your husband in public. It does not show you as a virtuous woman and will affect his self-esteem. If you do that in public, you will look like a mad dog without breeding. But yes, I agree. You shouldn't be in public. And again, both ways. No one should be correcting anyone in public. Mm-hmm. And like we said before, it doesn't make anybody look good. The person correcting, you look foolish. The person being corrected, you look foolish. So avoid it. Men to women, women to men. Number 8. Avoid correcting in anger. Stop correcting your husband in anger. Shouting, ranting, beating, and making trouble. Never push your husband to the point of him to fight back and protect himself from a rascal act of yours.
That's
By
true.
doing that, yeah, it is true. By doing that, you are like adding kerosene on a burning house. Instead, invite him for a walk, hold his hand, and talk about the problem. So
I could just imagine walking down a park, holding your hand, just pull him and clock.
see, that's an issue. Listen, I don't condone I don't condone anybody putting their hands on their spouse, men to women, women to men. I don't condone that. I don't think that's cool. I don't think it should be done at all. But there are women out there that will push a man, a passive man,
to
the point of, either they lay hands on him and he defends himself, which again, I'm not saying it's right, but I get it. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, your husband, your man, he's human. And as humans, when we feel that we're being attacked, some people, right, cower and just walk away. Some people, well, not cower. Some people just walk away because they're mature enough to do so. Some people just cower and run away. But some people will stay there until they're like an animal that's being cornered, and then they attack back. And that's where it gets dangerous. And sometimes you see these women that are 4 feet tall, and their man is like 6'5", and they want to be all tough, and they want to lay hands, and they want to say crazy shit. And then the minute a man fights back and does the exact same thing, now he's the abuser.
He's the bad guy, huh?
Like I remember this video, and again, let me clarify. I don't condone a man hitting a woman. I don't.
Or a woman hitting a man.
I don't believe in it. I don't agree with it. But I remember I saw this video. This was like 10 years ago. And this girl goes crazy on this guy on the train. And they're not together. It's just a random argument. And I think she was making fun of his jacket. And she's like ragging on him and ragging on him and ragging on him. And when he says something back to her, she goes crazy on him. And she smacks him in the face. Mm-hmm. Yo, this guy pulled his hand all the way back. Yo, and all you hear is whoosh. I'm telling you, like, her soul was like, what the fuck? Yo, he slapped her soul out of her. I was like, holy shit. Yo, and it was, I laughed so much with the video. And again, I don't condone it, but it's what happens. Like, she just kept pushing. She pushed and pushed and pushed. And this guy was quiet. And she pushed and pushed and pushed. And he was quiet. He was just eating it. And then he just said something back. And she didn't like it. And she just goes off. And you want to say what you want to say? That's fine. You have freedom of speech. But then she takes it a step further and hits him. And yo, but that's the slap of the face. Fuck, I wish I could find that video.
Holy shit!
Yo, but I'm telling you, that was a slap. That was like, holy shit balls. Like, it was bad. Anyway. All right. Number 9, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Number 9. Don't compare him with any other man. Never, ever.
No. Especially to ex-boyfriends or ex-husbands.
I gotta say, I haven't even read what she wrote, but I gotta say, that's a big no. I mean, you should never compare your wife or your girlfriend to any other woman either, but that will bruise a man's ego. That will fill his anger. And you want to talk about adding kerosene to a burning house? That's it right there. But the person wrote, don't compare him with any other man, never ever. That's where jealousy comes from. In your thought of correcting him, you might have been comparing him with other men. Don't you see what your friend is doing? Can't you learn from our neighbor's husband? Can't you be like Cheska's husband? Or Susie's husband?
Oh, that's too specific.
Or can you be like Adam in the Garden of Eden? Or like Samson or Solomon? Girl, your husband is different. when you come to a point of doing these, then remember the time when he's still courting you and why you chose him, and remember how you are head over heels in love with him. I don't know about all that, but I will say, don't ever do that. Don't ever compare him to somebody you know, somebody he knows. That is where jealousy will come from. And it's just, it's such a way. I mean, it's a way of turning something simple into a whole other level of argument and problems and fighting. And don't do it. And also, man, don't ever think about doing that shit to your wife or your girlfriend. It will not go well. I'll tell you that much.
All
right. Number 10, never go back to old issues. There is no reason why you need to get back to old issues. Like, remember what you did before? I will never, ever forget that. Blah, blah, blah. Once the issues are done and solved, it should be totally erased in your memory, which that don't really happen.
Nope.
Never try to open a grave. Well-mannered women never do that. Stick to the present issue, discuss like adults, and move on. Yeah, that sounds like it makes sense, but that never happens. That never happens.
Nope.
That whole erase it from your memory.
It always stays there, and a lot of people just keep it there for that same reason.
Yeah.
They'll save
and again, it goes both ways. I'm not saying it's only women.
No. Yeah, it's either way it goes, But a lot of people, men or women, they'll save it there for that specific moment to just drop it. And they'll keep putting it right back and saving it there for another moment, drop it on you again.
Yep. So number 12, before we go into some barstool banter, don't attack his dignity. Give your husband a bunch of respect. That's all that matters. If you don't have enough respect for your husband, then you are not worth the respect of your children. Well, it's a little harsh.
Yeah, it's respect goes both ways.
Yes, and I don't think anybody should attack anyone's dignity. And especially when it's your spouse. This is a person that you confess to love. This is the person that you promise to love and to cherish and to hold, in sickness and in health and richness and in poorness and, till death do you part when they're your husband or your wife. I don't think anybody should attack, and we've said this before in podcast, there shouldn't be jealousy amongst couples. And I mean jealousy of you being jealous of your spouse. If they're doing better or whatever it is, you shouldn't be one of your spouse's haters. And, attacking their dignity, I think it's a low blow, right? So if it's the man,
you know where it happens a lot? It happens a lot when either one spouse makes more money than the other.
That's what I'm saying. You shouldn't be your spouse's hater. And sometimes when you're, not sometimes, but when you're your spouse's hater, this is where, you say hurtful shit because you just want to hurt them. That's it. You're only saying this or that just to hurt them. That's the only reason why you're doing it. So, with that said, let's jump into some barstool banter where you guys submit your stories. We pick the 3 best ones at the moment and read them and pick the best one. Sometimes there's a prize, sometimes there isn't. I remind you, if you want to be on the show, you want to participate on the show, go to greatontheRocks.com. Scroll down to the Contact Us section and submit your story there. It could be for Barstool Banter, Whiskey, Bar Wisdom, Hero of the Day, Kryptonite Sessions, which we haven't gotten one yet, but that is basically a moment where men can be vulnerable and you can share your story of, a moment of vulnerability, and we will comment on it. Yeah. So this is Barstool Banter.
Barstool Banter, brought to you by Buenos Dias Media, where great stories come to life. Welcome to Barstool Banter, the segment where your wildest, funniest, and most unforgettable stories take center stage. Whether it's that crazy night out with the guys, a hilarious encounter at the bar, a day out with the family, or an unforgettable moment with friends, we want to hear it all. Each week, we dive into your emails, share the best stories, and pick our favorite one, and who knows, maybe even win a prize. So grab a drink, light it up, pull up a stool, and let's get into some Barstool Banter.
All right. This is Barstool Banter. And our first email comes from Dave from Ohio. Subject: the accidental babysitter. Submitted through our Contact Us section of gritontheRocks.com. Hey, Grit Team. So my wife sends me to pick up our son from daycare last week. Easy enough, right? I pull up, go inside, and spot the little guy playing with blocks. I walk over, grab his hand, and start walking him out when the daycare lady gives me a strange look. I shrug it off, figuring maybe she just had a long day with the kids. Then, as I'm strapping this kid into the car seat, I look up. And who do I see? My son, standing there in the doorway, staring at me with this look of horror. Yep. I was about to kidnap some random child because I was on autopilot and didn't pay attention. Holy shit. Turns out the kid just happened to look exactly like my son from behind. Same little hat and everything. I don't think I ever apologized so much in my life. Long story short, I double check faces before grabbing kids at daycare now. You should have seen my wife's face when I told her. She laughed so hard she cried. Parenting is a team sport for a reason. Cheers, Dave. Holy shit.
I could just imagine that little kid just saying, "Stranger danger, stranger danger."
Yo, the panic in my face, man, when I noticed that I have somebody else's kid. Holy shit, man. All right. This comes,
but it can happen. You know, it's something that can happen to anyone. Yeah, but if it looks like you just got the child, you know, the child is look at it from the back. Yeah, you know, it can happen. But yeah, you know, usually when you got the hand, you tend to look at the face.
Jeez. All right. So this comes from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. This is Billy. Subject: my fancy date night fail. My fancy date night fail. Hey, fellas. You know when you try to do something nice, but it backfires in the worst possible way? Yeah, that was me last Saturday. I decided to surprise my wife with a fancy dinner at home. Cooked the favorite pasta and thought, why not light a few candles? Set the mood, make it real nice. So I go all out, even break out this vintage bottle of wine we've been saving. Problem is, I didn't know about that wine. I just figured, hey, older means better, right? Wrong. I pop the cork, pour the wine, and we both take a sip expecting to be blown away. Instead, it tasted like someone bottled vinegar mixed with wet dog.
Oh my God.
Turns out the wine was way past its prime. She starts gagging, and I'm doing my best to keep a straight face, but we both lost it. She still teases me that I tried to poison her with aged vinegar. Next time, I'm just sticking to pizza and a cold six-pack. Lesson learned, stay classy, Billy. Okay. Next one, submitted through our Contact Us section of the gritontheRocks.com. Comes to us from Michigan. This comes from Tom from Michigan. Subject: the great lawn mowing debacle. Hey, Grit Gang. So I finally got myself one of those fancy zero-turn lawnmowers. My neighbor Joe's been bragging about his all summer, so I figured it was time to upgrade. Now, I'm out there mowing, feeling like a total pro, trying to make those perfect lines across the yard like you see on TV. But here's the thing. Nobody warned me that zero-turn mowers take some practice. Every time I turned, I either spun too far or not enough. By the time I was done, my lawn looked like an abstract art piece. It was like a Picasso painting out there, zigzags and circles all over. And of course, Joe's out there with his perfectly striped lawn, just watching me with his smug grin. My wife came out and said it looked like I'd let a drunken goat handle the mowing. Anyway, that thing's going to take some practice, but hey, next week, I'll either have the best yard on the block or get banned from mowing by my HOA. Take care, Tom. I just gotta say, I gotta say number 2 though. Number 2 was good.
Number 2, the one with the kid.
Yeah,
Wasn't that
wasn't
number
number 2? That was number 1. Number 1, yeah.
Number 1.
Yep, Dave from Ohio, the accidental babysitter. Yeah. You are the winner. You get a shout out. Shout out, Dave. Dave from Ohio. I think a great story though.
Nah, it's cool.
All right, so let's finish this list off. We did what? We did 12, right? Yes. We have 13 and 14 left before we do Hero of the Day. All right, so number 13. Do it in time of peace. Most wives do want to correct in the heat of their anger and the height of misunderstanding, when temper has already hit the roof. That is not the best time to correct. It will yield little or no result at all. Men is simple. They have selective hearing. They can only hear in low tone of your voice. I don't like the way this person describes men. It's like the way they describe us is like these little pulsitos. Like we can't handle shit. Like, no. Selective hearing. I mean, yeah, I guess some.
But there's some guys that do that, you know. They choose what they want to hear.
That's true.
You know, there's a lot of guys who do that, you know, especially if they got one of those wives or girlfriend that nags a lot.
Yeah, but that's why they're choosing to do that. The way she makes it seem, it's like we can't help it. You know, like, you know, talk to us, you know, in a low tone of your voice, you know, because, you know, men are special, and I don't mean it in the special way. I mean it in a, you know, special way.
Yeah, the way that we need helmets and whatnot.
Yeah, you know, it's like, come on. All right, number 14, giving a helping hand. Work together for good. Change a tire together. Try your best to help in your most seductive way. Ooh. That will make their job easy and fast. If he is fixing a broken leg of a table, hand him the things he needs. Don't just stand there and watch your husband like you are an Egyptian pharaoh mandating slaves and ready to give a whip when he makes mistakes.
That's true. It always feels good. It always feels good when they put some effort in helping you, you know, even at least if they try, even if they can't do it, but they try, you see the effort. It's always, you know, greatly appreciated. And you don't see that they're just with their arms crossed like this, just waiting for you to get it done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. I think it's important, yeah, when you're doing something to offer some, you know, it's a way of, I guess, offering support, you know, being involved and showing that you care for what they're doing. I think that's a good thing, but also, you know, men got to do the same thing. You know, your wife is doing something, offer some help. Don't just sit there like, you know,
in the kitchen, you know, they're cooking,
something in the house or whatever it is, you know, she's doing something and you see that she needs help, then, you know, why not offer it? Like, you know, we spoke last time when we were taking care of kids. Sometimes, there's some men that just want to do this and sit back and let the wife do all the work, and they can see her struggling. And, if she's like cooking or cleaning, not that that's their job, just in case, but if they're like cooking or cleaning, what it is, and they're also taking care of the child, and you're just sitting there like scratching your balls watching TV, that shouldn't be a thing either.
Most of them they don't do this no more. They do this now.
Yeah, or they want to play video game. Yep. That's such a problem now. And it's just, I don't know, man. I have mixed feelings when it comes to the whole video games. I don't have anything against it. I just feel like when you reach a certain age, you have to prioritize. And if that's if video games are a priority of yours, you already have a wife, or if you have kids, even worse. Mm-hmm. Prioritizing video games says a lot about you, where you are maturity wise.
It's okay to play, because me, I'm 51 and I like playing, occasionally. You know, while there's nothing else to do, if you got more important things to do.
No, that's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with playing video. There's absolutely nothing wrong. Now, one thing is to play video games. Another thing is to prioritize playing video games.
Yeah,
that's where the problem lies. If that's your priority and you got, your lawn is covering you, you got to like go through a safari to get to your house, or there's, a mess in your house and you got to climb over shit, or, or I don't know, you got to fix something, or you got to fix something in the kitchen, whatever it is, you got shit to do basically. And you're prioritizing video games, there's a problem.
Shame on you.
You gotta mature. You gotta mature. To me, I gotta say, it says a lot about your maturity. Now, if you're a man that works, takes care of everything that they have to take care of their kids, take care of your wife, you dedicate time to your family and your kids and your wife, and you prioritize everything first, and then you have some extra time to like play your video games and just unwind, go ahead, do what you got to do, man. There's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with having some alone time, some me time, and some unwinding time by yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, if that's your priority, then it says a lot about your maturity. Okay? All right, so this person finishes off with, husbands most of the time are doing a great job. Appreciate yours and support him to be a better husband and father. The real empowered woman is the one who knows how to respect men. Yeah, that's right. No, I'm just kidding. If you expect your husband to be respectable, to be a respectable king in your palace, then you should first create a peaceful palace for him. That I do agree. I do agree with, I think it is empowering for some women when they do respect and take care of their men. Just like I think it's empowering for men when you respect and take care of your woman. Mm-hmm. That's what, I got to look at it both ways.
The 50-50 thing.
Back then, when we talk about the olden times and where, chauvinistic man and the machista and all that stuff, it was all about the men. They get home, the women serves them. I don't think that's correct. It's not in these times anyway. This was years ago. That's how it was, where women stood home, the men worked. But now, I think in fairness, and this is, one of the examples when we talk about old masculinity and new masculinity and how I like to stand in the middle. There are some things from the old masculinity that I do like and apply and live by, but there's also things of the new masculinity that I also like, love, and live by. And this is one of them, where you empower your wife. I think your wife should be treated like a queen, and you need to create that palace of peace for your queen. But it goes both ways. Your wife also should do the same thing. If it's a one-way street, then there's a problem. If you're catering to your wife and she's treating you like a peasant, that's a problem. If she caters to you and you treat her like a peasant, that's a problem. I think it goes both ways. I think you both need to respect each other, treat each other like royalty, and create that peaceful palace, right? Like I've said before, your home, that's your sanctuary. That's your place of peace. That's where you escape from the world. And there should be peace there among those who live there in your kingdom, if you want to look at it that way. So, so what do we think of this piece?
What else can I say? You know, it's basically everything was hit like right on the nail. Not all of it, but most of it.
I just don't like, and again, I'm not trying to be a feminist or anything like that. I think a lot of the points are valid. I think the way this person speaks, though, is very, it generalizes. And
against men?
No, not against men. It's actually against women. I think, yeah, I biblically it says that the man is head of household, but that doesn't mean he is the king and she is the peasant. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're just referring to women in this point, and maybe this person feels the same way we feel, that it should be to both. I think instead of saying 14 ways to speak to to correct your husband without hurting his ego, it should say something like 14 ways to correct each other without hurting your egos.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. It's very one-sided, obviously. But again, I don't know if they were just trying to target women.
Most likely it's the way she expressed herself, but
it seems like what I get from this is she seems to believe that women need to be submissive. And I agree with that to a certain point. I think you have to be submissive with your spouse.
Also, the men have to be submissive too.
Yeah. That's why I see it. It should be both ways. But again, I'm not saying this person doesn't believe that. But based on what they wrote, it seems like it's very old school minded that women need to submit and just be quiet. When you start off with lower your voice,
Yeah, you know what it makes me think? It makes me think of a geisha.
Yeah.
They're really submissive, that they got to do whatever the man says. They got to stay quiet, whatnot.
Yep. So women who are listening, I hope you take some notes from this. And, just not only based on what they wrote, but also on what we said. You're getting an insight into a man's mind and how they look at this, or at least how we look at this. Men, if you are listening, those of you who are listening, share it with your wife. Maybe discuss it over dinner. What does she think? I would like to hear, well, not hear, but I would like to read your comments. What do you guys think? Do you agree with everything this person wrote?
Did your girl agree or disagree?
Did you talk about it with your wife or your girlfriend? Does she agree? Does she disagree? Which ones she liked? Which ones she didn't? I mean, let's start the conversation. Let's discuss. So before we wrap up the show, let's do Hero of the Day.
You're listening to Grit on the Rocks podcast, and it's time for Hero of the Day, the segment where we celebrate everyday acts of kindness and the unsung heroes among us. Whether it's lending a helping hand, going the extra mile for someone in need, or making a positive impact in your community, we're here to honor your good deeds. Each week we share an inspiring story from our listeners and recognize the hero behind it. So sit back, get inspired, and let's raise a glass to the heroes who make the world a better place.
All right. So this one comes from Anonymous from Montana. It just says, helping out in small ways. Hey, Grit on the Rocks team. Wanted to share a little story for your Hero of the Day segment. So I'm on my way back to work last week. Running a little late, of course. Typical Montana morning. Cold enough to turn your coffee to ice before you even get to the truck. Anyway. I see this guy on the side of the road trying to push his car out of the snowbank. He's got one of those tiny front-wheel drive cars that basically turns into a sled the second it sees snow. I'm already late, but something in me just won't let me pass by. I pull over, get out, and realize this dude is not only stuck, but completely unprepared. No gloves, no shovel, just bare hands and a look of pure desperation.
Wow.
So I get out the emergency shovel from my truck and we start digging together. After a good 20 minutes and a lot of sweat, we finally got his car free. This guy is practically ready to cry from relief, so I tell him, no worries, man. Just pay it forward sometime. Got to work late with snow up to my knees, but hey, worth it. Sometimes being the hero just means giving someone a hand when they need it most, even if it means you're a little less warm and a little less on time. Stay warm and keep doing good. Anonymous from Montana.
Wow, yo, you gotta give it a, if it's like that, it's like brick outside.
What? Yeah, no, I put myself in the position of that person being stuck, like the desperation. Yep. That sounds right.
Wow.
I mean, he must have seen him getting off that truck, like, oh, he walked off the truck because
he must have seen the oh my God, he must have seen heaven with that.
So so I think we can wrap up this episode. You are listening. Thank you. First of all, thank you for all those who stayed till the end of the show. Thank you for your support. Before we leave, we forgot to play one of our supporters. Let's play this before we leave.
Looking to connect with like-minded men who share your drive for success and passion for the finer things in life? Welcome to the Apex Gentlemen's Guild, a private members club for men who value ambition, camaraderie, giving back, and personal growth. For a limited time while we're fully remote, you can join the guild for free. Gain access to tons of motivational content, exclusive events, insightful discussions, and a network of high-performance individuals. Don't miss this chance to elevate your social circle. Request to join today at facebook.com/groups/Apex Gentlemen's Guild. Or give us a like at facebook.com/Apex Gentlemen's Guild. The Apex Gentlemen's Guild. Excellence forged in unity.
All right. So this wraps up our show. We talked about the 14 ways to correct your husband without hurting his ego. Our version would have been 14 ways to correct your spouse without hurting their ego.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this was written by, what was the name? Donna Mejia. Apparently, it seems like it was a woman. But yeah, we went down it. We went down through the list. We read them all. We reacted to all of them. And I don't know. You come to your own conclusions. But again, men, share. Share with your wife. Women, share with your friends. And again, if you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble, feel free to drop a comment on what do you think, which ones you liked, which ones you agree with, which ones you don't, which ones you hated, which ones you don't agree with, you know. So thank you so much for listening, subscribing, and sharing the podcast. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, keep your spirits high, your cigars lit, and remember, peace begins with us. Always stay gentlemanly and classy. Cheers.